Extra story. The day before reincarnation. How many years have you been doing this? A cup was smacked down with a yelling voice, spilling cold coffee over a certain man. I'm very sorry. TCH. Do it again. By the end of today. Clean this up and get back to work. Excuse me. Bowing once to the superior who had passed his eyes over the documents, the man picked up the coffee cup. Oh, hey, man. If you're gonna get that cleaned up, get me a coffee too. I can't step away from my work right now. PFFT. Cuckoo. Any sugar or milk? No. The man passed by a subordinate who gave him a task, and silently continued walking. Should I change into my spare clothes? No, it doesn't matter. I don't have any more work to do outside today. Kaya. When he walked into the office kitchen, a woman screamed. Oh, what? Excuse me. Sorry if I startled you. It's nothing, really. B-boss, who's that? Take Bashi from Department 3. After greeting the two who were already there, the man called Take Bashi went about making a new coffee. As he did that, the conversation between the other two continued behind him. That scared the wits out of me. Why does he have to be that big? He looks like two people stuffed into one coat. Like I said, that's Take Bashi from Department 3. Apparently he does some kind of martial arts, and he always uses his body in the talent show at the end of year party, which you'll see too. Is that so? Oh, is that coffee? He's soaked. Just the usual. He must be clumsy. Take the hint already. Just so you know, you shouldn't get involved with him. Is he a scary person, then? He himself isn't. If anything, I'd say he's a good person. But I said he was from Department 3, right? Department 3 is a gathering of useless employees, a dumpster to remove the hindrances from other departments. Anyway, you know how we use subcontractors? Our elite clients keep forcing their kids onto us, probably because they'd be an eyesore at their parents' companies. Using their parents' connections. It's like the higher-ups just want to look good. Department 3 is made of those types of people. Even the title of the team lead means nothing, it's basically a demotion to the bottom rank. Anyway, no matter what he's like, don't stick your head into Department 3's mess. Got it, right. The woman who received the sudden lecture by her superior watched Take Bashi's back with hesitation in her eyes. Her superior gave a further warning, having just finished her work. You have been warned. Don't come crying to me if something horrible happens to you. I understand. When the superior left with those cold words, the other woman followed her in a panic. With the two of them gone from the kitchen, the man sadly waited for the water to boil. They could have spoken a little more quietly. He returned to his department with the coffee in hand. Team lead. We're going out to lunch now. Thanks for the treat. Chief, it's a great place. Look forward to it. Sorry, man, but I won't need that coffee after all. The subordinate who'd requested the coffee showed no remorse as he followed the chief out of the office. The man watched the employees walk out one by one, until there was only one person left. A young man focused on his computer, continuing to input data. Tabuchi, do you drink coffee? It's black. Yes, please. Tabuchi drank the leftover coffee in one shot, then sighed. Are they gone? It's all right now. Fortunately, they weren't in that bad of a mood today. Oh yeah, I saw what looked like a new employee in the kitchen earlier. A woman. It's rare to hear the team lead talk about girls. Was she cute? Well, she screamed as soon as she saw me. Oh, you mean in that way? It was just like when you first met me. I swear, you're just way too jacked. Anyone would get scared seeing you for the first time. The white work shirt doesn't help hide your muscles either. It took quite a while until we grew close enough for you to stop speaking so politely. Can't just make my muscles disappear on command, after all. That would be another problem if you could. A faint smile appeared across their faces. So, you're a descendant from a military family, right? Your name's Ryoma, after all. They're just ancient martial arts techniques passed down through the generations. My family isn't particularly important. The names are also randomly picked from strong historical figures. My father was Musashi, and my grandfather was Renyasai. If you filled out your user profile online with those details, you'd be laughed off the internet. In modern times, maybe. But I doubt you'd say the same if you stood before a famous ancient martial artist. Yeah, you don't have to listen to me. But wait, with a body like that, what are you doing settling for being a software engineer? You should have just been a fighter. Even if I became a fighter, only a small handful of people earn enough to make a living. I wanted stability. What about a career change? To a fighter, or something else? Do you really want to work here forever? Also, marriage and stuff. I'm almost in my 40s, not many places will be able to swallow a career change at my age. What about you, Tabuchi? You're still in your 20s, right? If we're talking experience, then I've already taught you everything I can. If you can handle the workload here, then you do well wherever you go. Yeah, well, eventually. In my opinion, the sooner you move, the better. Don't expect this company to get any better. They failed once before, right? The fact you're here right now puts you in a similar place, no? A sigh could be heard in the quiet room. That's how it is, so I suggest you change jobs soon. Your body is frail, so do it before it's too late. I'm not frail, boss man. You're just a ripped. But I'll consider it. By the way, I bought something this morning. They made a novelization of The Pact of the Dying Boy and the Demon. You liked this one, right? You can have it for half price. Aren't you going to read it? It sounded good story-wise, but the art isn't my thing. I see. I'll take it then. The middle-aged man immediately handed the money over, and carefully stashed the light novel away in his bag. That was the kind of person Takebashi Ryoma was. That night. Today must be my lucky day. Work had finished before the last train for once, and there was a newly bought book in his bag. That was enough for him to feel happiness as he headed to the station, when the train arrived just as he stepped onto the platform. Question mark. Slight blessings like that helped Takebayashi arrive home earlier than usual, where he called out to the suspicious figure lurking in front of his apartment. Good evening. Oh, it's you, Takebayashi. Long time no see, sir. Takebayashi was relieved to see the suspicious figure actually had the familiar face of his landlord. The other party was similarly relieved. Good grief. With a figure like that, you shouldn't be sneaking up on people from behind without a sound. I thought I'd have a heart attack. It's not like I was sneaking on purpose. Despite thinking that, it wouldn't be funny if it had actually happened to the elderly man, so he apologized. What are you doing out here at this hour? And are you drunk? I drank a little, but I'm not drunk. It's just a little hard to go home like this. Ow, are you alright? No worries. I pulled my back a little at lunch today. Didn't something similar happen before? Come to think of it, yes. Around 2 or 3 years ago. You had fallen down the stairs while cleaning, and I passed by on my way home. Oh, right. Instead of standing around outside, would you like to come inside? The landlord wasn't wearing his work clothes and had a convenience store bag with drinks and snacks in hand. Combined with the fact he said he didn't want to go home, it was clear that something had happened, so Takebayashi invited him to his place instead. I suppose I'll take you up on that. The landlord looked a little apologetic, but he had nowhere else to go. Please do. Pardon the intrusion, then. The two of them headed to the living room, where tea was prepared and placed between them. Ow, ow, ow. Did something happen? I was pruning the trees when I fell from the ladder. Unfortunately, my son witnessed it. And now he won't stop yammering about the elderly. The issue was brought up at dinner, and I snapped a bit. So you left the house like that, huh? And that wasn't all, that damn kid of mine. Just because he's raking it in at that IT company that's been booming recently, he's started to stick his nose in my business too. Something about how this form of asset management was ancient. Where does he think the money that raised him came from? It's true that there are many vacant rooms, but it's not a simple matter of evicting the tenants and turning it into a parking lot. He doesn't know anything about this work. Ow, ow, ow. He sounds like he's in a lot of pain. Takebashi watched his landlord complain and noticed his pain. He went to the refrigerator and took out a small container. Sir, this is an ointment for bruises. Please use it. That kid, Is that the one you gave me before? What a sharp memory. He certainly recalled giving the landlord this ointment last time he fell from the stairs. That's right. You remembered this too? I remember the pain was completely gone the next day. My memory hasn't failed me yet. If you don't mind then. Here. Takebayashi offered the ointment, which the landlord took and rubbed generously onto his injury. Partway through that, the landlord opened his mouth. Where did you buy this medicine? This isn't for sale, it's a home remedy. Bruises are a daily occurrence for anyone who practices martial arts, so this is a recipe passed down in my family for generations. I see. It's just that my grandchild comes home injured pretty much every day. You had a grandchild? In elementary school. He's a mischievous boy. A handful to deal with, but that's what makes him cute. You're getting on in years too, Takebayashi. Have you considered marriage? You must have a girlfriend, no? Unfortunately, I'm too preoccupied with my work and hobbies. I reached this age before I even knew it. Has no one ever propositioned you? Appearances aside, you have a good personality. And you're in the same line of work as my son, right? Surely you're enough of a social climber to know a broad or two. Unfortunately, I haven't had any opportunities to meet new people. And I doubt my income is as good as your son's. I'm just an underling, nothing in management. Living alone just barely gives me the leeway to save a little. How about an arranged marriage? My wife is good at those things. I'm grateful for the offer. But even if you gave me the opportunity, I'm too busy with work. Really? Well, it's easier being single in some aspects too. How so? The first thing that comes to mind right now is wills. My son also said it, but I know I'm getting on in years. I could drop dead at any moment. Because of that, I worry about how much I can leave behind for them. I have multiple children, so I worry about how to split it. When I hear about family wars over inheritances, I worry and think about donating it all elsewhere. Well, that's just some of it. I certainly don't have experiences with such worries, but I suppose you won't get the happiness of having children that way. That's right, Takebayashi. How about you buy this building instead, heart? Takebayashi faltered at the sudden words. While he didn't voice them out loud, his head was full of questions. Sorry, I don't understand what you mean. I'm asking you to buy this apartment building, is what I'm saying. You don't have to worry about the money. A rundown building like this isn't worth much to begin with. I'll pass it to you as cheap as possible. You're at the age to have your own house now anyway. Secure a room for your retirement, then lease out the others. That way, you can get an income. I can introduce an agent that can help you get set up in that aspect. Please wait a minute, this is too sudden. From what you said before, isn't this apartment building part of your inheritance too? Hearing that, the landlord huffed through his nose and took a can of beer from the bag. Pa. My sons have their own jobs. It'd be one thing if it was in the city, but they don't need this rundown thing at the outskirts of town. Like I said earlier, if I left this in my will, it'd just be demolished for a parking lot. They don't have any interest in my work. I don't care about that. My sons have their own lives. However, if my sons inherit everything and decide to make it a parking lot, all you residents may be evicted. Even if they end up paying an eviction fee, if that's more beneficial for the future, my sons may do it. They've got connections to good lawyers too. While there are tenant laws to protect you, legal battles are a tremendous effort. It can't possibly be nice to be chased out. But if you buy it from me, my sons can't touch it. If I released the property through a legal contract and receive payment, my sons wouldn't be able to object. But still, why me? I'm sorry, but I didn't think we had a deep enough relationship until now for this. That may be true, but I know what kind of person you are. The landlord looked around the room as he spoke. Takebayashi, you've lived here for quite a while. I've watched you throughout that time, as your landlord. You've aged quite a bit. You were a young man in your 20s when you first moved in. You called me Ryoma back then. Yes. Now your face looks too rough for that. Yet you've remained living in this rundown apartment long enough to grow that old. At least out of the current residents, you've been here the longest. But that means you know this place more than anyone else, no? You help with the gardens and cleaning the building of your own free will. And from what I can see, you keep your room in good condition, too. I don't think you'd have a problem with managing the building. Of course I'd look after my room, and the other maintenance was around the area I train. I don't care about the reason. No matter how modestly you word it, your actions speak for themselves. What's done has been done. And you can do it. That's enough for me. And I called you the longest running resident here, but the others don't speak badly of you either. I was talking to the boy downstairs just the other day. He said you're always fixing his toys for him. That boy. It all began when Takebayashi stayed at the company several nights in a row working overtime and ended up coming home in the middle of the day for some reason. He found a boy crying on the stairs up to his room, and after calling out to him, he found out the boy dropped his toy off the stairs and broke it, so he fixed it with what was lying around his room. Ever since, Takebayashi would sometimes come home to a broken toy and letter hanging from his doorknob. You've been fixing things for him whenever he asks, right? I wouldn't ask just anyone of this either. But if I was going to sell the building, I'd want it to go to someone who would take care of the building and the residents too. How about it? Takebayashi looked at the determined face of his landlord and felt even more troubled. After a moment of silence, the words he offered were, I'm very grateful for the offer, but I cannot answer right now. I am very fond of this place, but I'm not very knowledgeable about real estate, so I don't know what would be a reasonable price. I understand what you said about eviction, but I'd require a fair amount of cash if I were to purchase it. But most importantly, deciding on the spur of the moment isn't good for either of us. It's a very tempting offer, but answering immediately wouldn't be prudent. Well, I suppose that's right. I don't know about the future, but this building is still one of your assets right now, and something valuable for your family to inherit. That's why whether you sell it or leave it, I think it'd be best for you to think it over one more time, so that you won't regret anything. I didn't think it was a bad idea. There's happiness you can't experience without children. If you love your kids enough to say that, then please give it a little more thought. All right. It was something I blurted out on the spot. I'll think it over. Yes, that would be for the best. As he was feeling relief over getting through that situation, the landlord left his empty can on the table and stood up with a struggle, favoring his sore back. Is something the matter? It's about time I headed home. Sorry for dropping by so late. I don't mind that, but where will you go? Home. They're probably still awake, so I'll try talking to them for a bit. I'm suddenly feeling in the mood to do that. Now that I have a little booze in me, it's perfect. Then I'll walk with you. I can go home on my own. Do you know what they call you around here? The person who's never around. I appreciate the concern, but you relax at home. Firmly rejected. Takebashi saw him off at the door instead. Sorry for making you listen to me complain, and thanks for the medicine. No, it was nothing. You forgot your things. Wait a moment. Oh, it's fine. I have my wallet, it's just the drink and snacks, right? Please enjoy them yourself. Consider it payment for the medicine and trouble. Now excuse me. Thank you very much. Take care. Please give what I said some thought. I'll go talk to them first, but depending on how it goes, I may seriously end up selling to you. Once his departing figure had left his view, Takebashi quietly closed the door. He looked at the clock to see it was still an earlier time than he usually came home. It'd be nice to drink at home once in a while. Tomorrow's breakfast can be whatever's about to expire. And I'll make a little extra dinner for breakfast too. Something easy to reheat would be ideal. As he recalled the contents of his fridge to make a menu plan, his body moved about cleaning and doing the laundry. Cleaning, laundry, cooking. Takebayashi completed everything efficiently, working on one task as he planned out the next in his head. It was a skill he had developed through his long years of living alone. Thus, he completed his housework, meal, and even bathed, leaving nothing else for the day. Now, I can relax and read. He began reading the light novel he'd bought today with the free time he had saved, and the night grew later and later. That was good. I should tell Tabuchi to give it another shot. That was how Takebashi thoroughly enjoyed the most meager of happiness, a satisfied expression on his face as he fell asleep. In some ways unfortunate, and in other ways fortunate. Unknowing of the future he was stepping towards.